Polygamy. With regard to polygamy, Muhammad did not introduce this practice, as so often has been wrongly alleged. The scriptures and other sacred books bear abundant proof of the fact that it was recognized as lawful and indeed widely practiced by patriarchal prophets, Zoroastrians, Hindus, and Jews. In Arabia and all the surrounding countries, a system of temporary marriages, marriages of convenience, and unrestricted concubinage was also prevalent. This, together with polygamy, had most disastrous effects on the entire social and moral structure, which Muhammad remedied. Muhammad married Khadija at the age of 25, and he took no other wife during his 26 years of their married life. He married Aisha, daughter of Abu Bakr, at the age of 54, 3 years after the death of Khadija. After this marriage, he took other wives, about whom non-Muslim writers have directed much unjust criticism against him. Well, it's said that the marriage was arranged 7 years before it was consummated, and there's a narration that's very sound in that respect. Some say it was even more, but it's said that she moved in before the marriage was consummated, so that fixes some of the issues that some people are going to raise with that, and the Quran fixes the others, really. Well, backs up the history. After this marriage, he took other wives, about whom non-Muslim writers have directed much unjust criticism against them. The facts are that all these ladies were old maids or widows, left destitute and without protection during the repeated persecution. And, as head of state at Medina, the only proper way, according to the Arab code, in which Muhammad could extend both protection and maintenance to them was by marriage. The only young person was Maria the Copt, who was presented to him as a captive of war, whom he immediately liberated, but she refused to leave this kind of protection, and he therefore married her. Well, Aisha, Hafsa, Maria, and who's the other? Who's the Jewish woman that was like 26? Well, old enough to have wrinkles, so I guess that's wouldn't be included in some people's view of that. History proves conclusively that until very recent times, polygamy was not considered to be so reprehensible as it is now. St. Augustine himself seems to have observed in it no intrinsic immorality or sinfulness, and declared that polygamy was not a crime, where it was the legal institution of a country. The German reformers, as Hallam points out, even so late as the 16th century, admitted the validity of a second or third marriage contemporaneous with the first. In default of issue and other similar causes, polygamy was consequential upon social necessities of the age and moral conceptions of the people of the time. To ensure an increase in the birth rate and thereby the chance of replacing the depleted male population due to constant intertribal warfare, women were so helpless that the marriage gave them a means of obtaining both bread and provision, and was a chivalrous act to marry as many women as they could support. Well, that's an overstated phrase, but it was considered a great indignity on the family, indeed the whole clan, if a woman remained unmarried, or married below her social status. And eligible bridegrooms not only had more than one offer of marriage, but parents vied with each other in providing inducements in the form of valuable jewelry and property as dowers. In latter times, polygamy became a self-indulgent vice. It is to the credit of Islam that in the 4th year of the Muslim era, that is Al-Hijra, I'm going to adjust this, it's 1441 right now. Not only did the law relieve parents from the necessity of providing burdensome dowers, but, on the contrary, made it incumbent on the husband to fix a suitable dower, mahar, on his wife at the time of marriage and put clear restrictions on polygamy by religious enactment. Now, the dower isn't the bride price. I've been told, even in Muslim majority countries, it's very common for the family to ask for a fee to marry their daughter. Ye may marry of the women who seem good to you, 2 or 3 or 4, but if ye fear that you cannot observe equity between them, then espouse but a single wife. Sur 4:8-3. Some Muslimin contend that the unrestricted number of wives allowed in pre-Islamic times has been limited by the above verse of the Quran to a maximum of 4, provided he is able to treat them with perfect equality. They therefore divide material things equally between their wives, and also apportion the hours they spend in their company, and thus think that they are not breaking the law. On the other hand, the growing majority of Muslimin interpret the above verse as a clear direction towards monogamy, and it has become customary among all classes of the Indian Muslimin to insert in the marriage deed kabin nama, a clause by which the intending husband formally undertakes not to take another wife during the continuance of the first marriage. Verse 129 of chapter 4 declares, and he will never be able to be equitable and just between women, no matter how much you may strive to do so. Reading this verse together with verse 3 of chapter 4 given above, and considering the fact that it is impossible to show equality of affection to one's children, let alone to one's wives, there can be no doubt that the direction is clearly towards monogamy. Of course, there are some men who treat 4 wives all better than, your typical man's going to do with 1 wife. And so, the restriction on how you treat them, but the quality of affection, what you give them, the amount of time you spend with them, you can kind of allot that very rather precisely. And we find today in a lot of cultures where people are self-realized, they're like, well, I'd rather be the 2nd, 3rd, or even 4th wife of a good man than some drunkard who's going to beat me and cheat on me and that sort of thing. The feeling against polygamy has become a strong social force amongst Indian Muslimin. The most progressive Muslim countries have already authoritatively declared polygamy, like slavery and the seclusion of women, the purdah system, to be abhorrent to the laws of Islam. Well, polygamy is for both parties, so